Hello everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at these IEMs. These are the Sennheiser IE300s. They are the older brothers of the IE200s in what I think they're now discontinued, although there's very nice and very important things that we need to talk about with this IEM, even if it's discontinued. So today I'm going to quickly go over the price, features, performance, comfort, and so forth in no particular order, but I'll have some timestamps in the description down below. So without further ado, let's get into it. So let's start with comfort, because to me that's the most important thing about any IEM. These IEMs are the single most comfortable IEMs that I have ever tried, full stop. They're supposed to look exactly like the IE200s, but they're a little bit more comfortable because I think they're a little bit much smaller, I think. So you can see the very infamous Sennheiser design that is made of one shell. And even though it goes all the way inside your ear, the shell is so small. It doesn't protrude, it doesn't hurt over time, it does not build up pressure. And they also use this wing thing that most IEMs use, but this one has memory to it, which means that it takes the shape of your ear after the first one or two uses, which is just phenomenal, making this, like I said, the most comfortable IEM that I've ever used. In the box, you get 6 different ear tips, you get 3 foam and 3 rubber ear tips. And through my experience, I've noticed that the foam ear tips are considerably more comfortable and they retain more of the sound and they help stick inside your ear for longer, which is very important, and I'll explain why in a second. So yeah, in terms of comfort, 10 out of 10, I cannot complain. They're just the most comfortable IEM, just full stop. It's over. No IEM have competed so far. And now in terms of sound quality, this is where fitting all the way inside your ear is important, because you've heard a lot about this IEM, I'm sure, and you've heard how it has a V shape and a very exciting sound. God, I don't want this to be screenshotted. So it has a very exciting sound and it has plenty of bass and plenty of treble. And is that true? Yes, when you wear it very correctly. When you wear this IEM very correctly, that being all the way inside your ear, you have to push it in and it has to stay there. It has to stay there because this is a single driver IEM and the design is pretty forgiving in terms of comfort, but the cost of that is that it has to be worn in a very specific way to achieve the perfectly bassy and thumpy sound that it has. Now, if you do that, then you're going to end up with, yes, a bunch of bass, some thumpy bass, some very clean bass that is just top tier. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, and it just takes its own place in the mix. The mids are perfectly fine. They're not recessed, they're flat, they're sweet, they're the way they're supposed to be. So in terms of mids, nothing too special, but nothing too disappointing. It's pretty good. The top end is also very exciting and very boosted. The top end on these IEMs can be a little too sharp sometimes, which is a little bit of a problem for me, but at the same time, that's what creates the excitement. It is very detailed and it's on the brink of being sharp, but it really isn't that sharp, so it should be fine. Of course, it depends on what track you use and what input you use. Very important to mention that the sound that you're going to achieve is dependent on, of course, what you're going to be plugging this to. Now, these are 16 ohm IEMs, which most IEMs have low ohm, and this one has 16 ohms. Now, what that means is that this is going to sound perfectly fine on your phone, on your PC, even on your controller, I'm pretty sure, but this is a very rare situation where having more expensive gear can actually make the sound worse, because for a while, I was going to make this review and it was going to be a lot more negative than this, because I plugged this all the way into my Audient ID4 and it didn't sound that good. There wasn't as much bass and the sound wasn't separated perfectly fine until I plugged it directly to my PC or to another DAC that is much weaker and the output impedance is much lower, and it ended up giving the sound a lot more space and a lot more thump. So surprisingly, it sounded better on a technically worse device, so just keep that in mind. Although I'm pretty sure you didn't plan to get a $200 interface for these. Speaking of the price point, these were priced at $300 when they came out. I don't know if they ever got on heavy discount before getting discontinued, but pretty much they were released at $300. They might have went down over time. I'm not exactly sure. Talking about the features of the IEM itself, it is a single driver. It covers a full frequency range. It is very lightweight and it's made out of this one material as a single shell. It also uses MMCX cable, but unfortunately, because Sennheiser are annoying, or I don't know if there's a technical reason, but this is not standard size MMCX, so they're proprietary, which sucks. This means you can't change the cable unless it's sold directly by Sennheiser or if someone specifically made a cable for this IEM. So make sure that the cable doesn't break. On the other hand, this cable does allow for the IEM to move completely freely, which is not a thing that a lot of IEMs have. So big W on that one. The cable itself also had some complaints by some people, even the guy that I bought the IEM from, but I can't see them exactly. The cable rarely tangles. It's very difficult to tangle and it just has very little interference. And I don't know if it affects the sound that much, because to me, sounds pretty good. In fact, I'm wearing one as I'm making this review so I can hear myself. God, those crispy, beautiful, sweet top end. So how does this IEM compare to the IE200 is another important question that I personally wanted to ask and I couldn't find many answers for. The answer is between these two, if you get the chance, definitely get this one. Definitely get the IE300. The build quality is slightly better. There's a lot more bass. I mean, that one really doesn't have that much bass. The top end, although a little bit harsher, is actually more comfortable only because there's more bass to cover for it, and so it ends up being more reasonable in one way or another. And lastly, the cable. The cable that comes with the IE200 is an insult. For reference, this is the cable that comes with the IE200. You can see this kind of material, and this thing will tangle faster than your old earpods. Earpods? Is that what they're called? You can tell that the design is almost identical, although I could be mistaken, but the IE300 I think is, as I said, a smudge smaller. The IE200 is made out of multiple pieces of plastic, and the IE300 is made out of one piece of this material. I should have looked this up. You do get the same kinds of foam and rubber ear tips on both. The IE200's pouch is just, it's like a coin storage. It's garbage. With the IE300, you actually get a serious hard case, which is like, I understand that $150 might not be a lot for a company like Sennheiser, but to give you like a coin pouch? God. Okay, enough of that. Point is, overall, the IE300 is a great IEM for the price. Is it worth 300 full dollary dues? To that question, I say, it comes back to you. It really does. The IE300 is incredibly comfortable, and that comfort has a great price of its own because IEMs are supposed to be comfortable, but trust me when I say no less than 40% of IEMs that I try get uncomfortable within the first like 20 minutes. It's not that good, and getting an IEM this comfortable is kind of rare, which makes the IE200 such a good deal relatively speaking. That said, is it worth $300? Maybe. If you're looking for comfort on an IEM that has plenty of bass and one driver, then sure, the IE300 sounds great and it's really, really comfortable. On the other hand, if you prioritize audio quality in an IEM and you don't mind something bulkier, then the Mangrid T Pro is a great option. That is the best sounding IEM that I've ever tried so far. And I say this and it might burn some bridges, but I mean, it's expensive. So yeah, the Mangrid T Pro sounds nuts. So that said, that's going to be my review of this IEM. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will have links in the description below for this IEM if I found it, or some other IEMs that I recommend, as well as the gear used for this video and so forth. So if you like this video, please like it. It means so much to me. And if you would like to subscribe, it's going to mean the world to me. That said, take care of yourself and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Goodbye.